to our discussions with the folks at DonorSearch about Giving Tuesday, a big day not only for the entire country, but particularly for a company that devotes its energy and time to giving and to philanthropy. And we have with us the founder and CEO, Bill TeDesco, and of course, the heart and soul of much of what happens here at the company, Sarah TeDesco, Executive Vice President. Hi, you guys. How are you doing today?
We're doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great. And of course, Sam is here, the Director of Marketing Effort for the company. And we have a couple questions for you. Sam, do you want to?
Definitely. Thank you, Jay. And thank you, Sarah and Bill, for joining us. As you know, we've been talking to a lot of our DonorSearch team about Giving Tuesday and taking a look back at organizations that we're passionate about, also taking a look at 2020 and showing and talking about gratitude for this year amongst all the hardship, and wanted to talk to both of you about what nonprofit organization are you feeling connected to this year and looking to give back to during this Giving Tuesday season. And Bill, we can start with you.
Yeah, well, there are two at this point. One would be the Maryland Food Bank. I mean, just at a basic level, there are a lot of folks in need, and the idea of giving to the food bank, I think, addresses that very directly. It's a good operation, and they do a lot of good work. There's a second organization, Baltimore, that I got introduced to through Sarah's brother, Pat, which is Power. In fact, we actually have somebody who works with us who's the husband of the executive director there. It's an organization in Baltimore City, and best as I understand it, it seems to be more or less an after-school program, and then it has a focus on something that I did when I used to work in the city schools, which is basically oriented to developing cuisine and cooking and learning the skills of the food preparation. I think last year we distributed, I don't know, 15 or 20 turkeys, and then they prepared it and then they distributed it to the folks from the community. I think this year we also did, I think we surplus like 10 computers. When people moved home, we needed a different set of computers, so we had computers that worked out really well for Power. So those are the two at this point.
Sarah, how about you? What are the organizations that are close to your heart this year?
Yeah, and those organizations that Bill was just talking about are fantastic. They really serve our community well. Some of the organizations that I hold near and dear to my heart, one is focused around women's leadership and the education of women, and that's actually my alma mater, Maryville. It's something where I have this wonderful sense of community, and so many of my friends that I'm still in touch with that are doing fantastic things around the country also went to, and they just continue to serve women and making sure that they're getting not only the best education possible, but also in a position where they can lead great companies. So I'm very grateful to them. Maybe not at the time because I had to wear a uniform, but beyond that, I would also say I'm extremely grateful for our environment and where we live. Since we've had to work from home, much of the time that we used to spend traveling is now, in our community. It's going outside for walks or hikes or runs. And one, I really miss traveling and seeing all the wonderful places around, the world. But two, I'm also very grateful for the beautiful scenery and environment that we have here in Maryland and the DC, Virginia area. So I'll actually be giving locally as well to the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, in addition to my commitments to Nature Conservancy Environmental Defense Fund. So
great. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And those are wonderful organizations. And I know really impact the community, as you said, local to us. And as you are looking back at the year of 2020 and all the changes and pivots that we've not only had to make personally, but as a company, where are you finding gratitude amongst all the changes that have been happening in 2020?
Sarah, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'm happy to go first. It's funny, so my husband and I, when we moved to New Market area in Frederick from the DC area, we're always on the go, always going somewhere, flybys, see you on Tuesday kind of thing. And since everything has changed, we've had to spend a lot more time together because the traveling has stopped. And I'm actually grateful to, take a breath and enjoy the time we're spending together, as well as, kind of breathing it all in, where we live, appreciating nature, appreciating the outdoors, being able to stay connected with friends, even though we're not necessarily able to be with them. And that is something that was an unexpected change for me to feel grateful for, because I truly do miss traveling, but at the same time, it's interesting and to take a break from that, relax a little, I guess.
And Bill, what's on your list this year?
Short list for gratitude. I was really worried that once COVID hit, and I saw the severity of it. I mean, not even talking about the illness associated with it. If you just focus on what it did in terms of how we work and how we live, it was terrifying. I thought that the impact on the business was going to be much, much more severe than it was. I mean, truthfully, I count my blessings. I mean, that could have very easily led to, not being in the position to maintain all the employees we had, because we had just, I think, gotten up to about 50 or so. But it went the other direction. I guess it's the nature of the market and the product loyalty that we're seeing. Quite the contrary. We ended up hiring additional people. I felt good about that because I knew so many people were unemployed. And the business has remarkably stayed strong through that time frame. So yeah, that's number one on my list in terms of gratitude, because that weighs pretty heavily if you think about it. It would have been unfortunate to disrupt a lot of other lives, and it's worked out well. So
I have to piggyback on that now that you've said that and you talked about breathing for a minute. No, I am also extremely grateful for, one, the leadership that we have, being able to, one, anticipate, this work from home. We didn't believe him necessarily that COVID was going to have the effect that it had, but luckily with, him being in touch and anticipating that, we were able to sort of plan last minute as well. And I'm also grateful for this wonderful team. I mean, Jay, you've been crucial to our success, as well as Samantha, really just kind of mustering through all of these crazy challenges and events, as well as the wonderful people on our staff. And that includes our client success, our sales reps, our IT team. It really has been a challenging year, but we're grateful to have come through.
Well, I'm grateful to be a part of the team as well. So it has been challenging, but I think we've learned a lot together. We've done a lot of great new things together. We've really brought in a lot of communication and thought leadership. And I know that's something that I've been grateful for this year as well, of just being able to learn more about the industry and those that are a part of it. And I'm playing a big role in that. So I'm thankful as well.
And you made it look easy.
A breeze.
It's called a filter. on the Zoom, right?
Yeah, and this is not just a gratitude filter either. This is real here, and you guys have not only I'm grateful as well for the opportunity to work with you throughout this very challenging year. But what people may not know is that you've really brought that back into the corporate culture. This is not just a matter of making people feel good and safe. It's also encouraging them to give outwardly. And so there's a philanthropy committee here. You've been matching gifts. This whole reason for doing these interviews is to show the kinds of things that the entire team is involved in their community. So how important is that to you, that you not only reinvest in the business can be successful and its clients can be successful, but that this spirit of gratitude and philanthropy can be carried out in the lives of the people who work with you?
I think, you're taken back to the strategic plan, and I think it's second or third down the list, is to make the company a good place to work. And a good place to work is where people thrive. And I think charity and philanthropy also thrive when people feel secure and it's a day-to-day thing with us. I mean, we work with clients that are all about philanthropy, so it's reinforced on a regular basis. So it's an absolute delight to see people get involved with charities and as you mentioned, the philanthropy committee that we have and the matching gifts that we're doing. That feels good to be associated with that. So.
Yeah, and there's an energy at DonorSearch to give back. So much of our staff, so many of the folks that work at DonorSearch are constantly bringing up new ideas on how we can give to other kinds of organizations, whether that's, a virtual race, whether that's providing the turkeys or the computers to a local nonprofit, or having, a gratitude series and committee. So it's very much part of the culture, and it's one of the wonderful things about the employees at DonorSearch, for sure.